In my opinion, one of the things that sets the Taipan Veteran guns apart from all other guns is its trigger. The Taipan Veteran guns have made me a trigger snob. No matter what type of trigger you like, you can tune it to be exactly like you like with the Taipan Veteran. If you like one-stage triggers, it's a breeze to tune out the first stage and just have a one-stage trigger. If you like really, really light triggers like I do, perfectly safe, 100% consistent 3-ounce trigger is what I've got on this thing. It's just perfect for me when I'm shooting targets. As soon as I have, the crosshairs where I want it, it's just a slight little click, bang, bullseye. I know exactly where it's going to hit. It's like impossible to jerk the trigger. It's just perfect. If you want a heavier trigger, you want a 2-pound trigger, not a problem. You like a lot of follow through on your trigger, possible. Any trigger you want, this mechanism is capable of it. It's absolutely fantastic. So I've removed the stock and the plate that covers the trigger mechanism. And as you can see, there are several screws down here that you can adjust to fine-tune your trigger to your liking. I have found most of the important ones deal with this sear right here. This first sear is how you adjust the first stage. The first screw adjusts the tension of the first stage, so you want that tight enough for the trigger to bounce back after it's been released. The second screw adjusts the first stage travel. When I got the gun, there was more first stage travel than I like, so I tightened this screw so that the screw makes contact with that sear sooner than it did before. The third screw down, also I had to tighten up. Basically what it does is it controls how much contact, how much of this surface of this sear and this sear are in contact. So I noticed that the trigger had a little bit of creep, and so by tightening this screw I was able to slide that sear just so that it's just barely contacting the sear above it here and reduce all creep. Probably the most important screw that I adjusted is this next one right here. It is how you adjust the actual tension of the trigger. So I backed this out quite a ways to get it to be a sub 3-ounce trigger. And so right now these two sears have minimal contact, and at 3 ounces or sub 3 ounces of pressure, those two will become unconnected and the gun will fire. The next screw behind that is the second stage travel. So if you wanted a really long pull after the second stage, you'd back this screw out. If you wanted to eliminate all of the second stage travel after the gun fires, you'd tighten it up so that it touches this screw as soon as the gun fires. I've got just a little bit of travel, but not too much. The next screw adjusts this piece right here. I've never messed with it, and I'm not exactly sure why you would need to. And the final screw back here adjusts this sear right here, the one on the top. So I think the only reason you'd really want to do that is maybe you were looking to have some more contact between this sear and the hammer. If you're having, you're a little bit nervous about, I don't know why it would happen, but you could tighten up the tension between the sear and the hammer. I imagine it would also adjust the surfaces right here just from the other angle. So if you didn't want to just make all the tension loosened up with this screw, you could kind of balance it out between the two. I don't bother, I just remove or release the tension on this screw until it's exactly where I want it. Call it good.